Baldor, son of Brego, a prince of Rohan, but never its king. What fate awaited him in the dark passages of the White Mountains, and what led him to journey there? Hello friends, it's Carl here, and today we'll be discussing the character of Baldor the Hapless. So Baldor was the son of Brego, and the grandson of Eorl the Young, the founder of Rohan. Thus, during his time, the faction of Rohan was still new. It had only existed for around 50 years or so, and there were many regions and areas that had yet to be explored and mapped. The Harrowdale was one such region, and Baldor and his father journeyed there, and they came across the Pots of the Dead. They stopped outside the dark door, and nearby sat a man whom at first they thought was a statue, for he sat unmoving. As they tried to walk past him to enter the Pots of the Dead, the old man spoke. "The way is shut." Baldor and his father stopped and looked at the old man, who simply stared forward and spoke again. "The way is shut. It was made by those who are dead, and the dead keep it until the time comes. The way is shut." Baldor then asks, "And when will that time be?" But he is left without an answer, because at that moment the old man fell forward and died. Baldor and his father heeded this warning, and they returned to Edoras. During a feast to celebrate the newly built Hall of Meduseld, Baldor had drunk too much, and he rashly proclaimed that he would venture through the dark door into the Pots of the Dead. He does so a year later, in the year 2569 of the Third Age, and after passing through those doors, he was never seen or heard from again. Less than 500 years later, in the year 1319 of the Third Age, Aragorn leads the Grey Company through the Pots of the Dead. After journeying inside, they come across a golden-clad knight whose legs were broken, and his sword lay beside him, notched at the edge. His finger bones were still clawing at cracks in the door, which was shut firmly. This was the corpse of Baldor, his final resting place, and Aragorn states that we'd never know what lied behind those doors, and why Baldor had tried to enter them. However, this isn't entirely true, because Tolkien does tell us more about it in an essay of his. In Vinyar Tengwar, issue 42, he tells us that these men of darkness had built great temples in caverns beneath the mountains. He also says that the special horror that lied behind those doors was an evil temple hall, and that Baldor had likely reached it without opposition, but he couldn't get through the door as it remained shut. The dead then approached, broke his legs, and left him to die slowly and in agony. Now there are 3 more pieces to the puzzle. Firstly, the fact that Baldor's sword was notched suggests that he must have thrown it or slammed it into the door, which really reflects the absolute terror he must have been feeling. One can only imagine what he felt and thought in the final moments of his life. Secondly, we're told that these men of the mountains used to worship Sauron in the past, which was one of the reasons why they had been reluctant to fulfill their oath to Isildur against Sauron. Thus, I'm guessing that some temple to Sauron or even Morgoth lied behind those doors, and perhaps it was still in use. Finally, regarding the old man that was present outside the dark door, it's emphasized that he was extremely old, and he seems to share a connection with the Pots of the Dead. I believe that he was one of the last descendants of the men of the mountains that had broken their oath, though again this is just speculation. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm really curious what you think lied behind those doors and in the other hidden caverns beneath the White Mountains. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and subscribe to join our fellowship today. I hope to see you all in my next video, where together we can once again explore the wonderful world and lore of Middle-earth.